What's up, guys? And it's time to talk about the biggest card in MMA this year. I mean, Bellator, UFC, whatever you want to talk about, this is without a doubt the biggest and best card they will be able to put on all year, except for maybe if Conor shows up and that'll be the biggest. But when it comes to quality, it does not get any better in mixed martial arts than this card right here. I mean, let me just read off some of the fights that are on here, and I want to let you guys know I'm going to be doing two separate videos, one for the main card and one for the prelims, because of the fact that even the prelims are just so fucking good. Let me go ahead and read off the cards, at least from the prelims on. There's Andre Fili versus Calvin Kattar. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not very familiar with him. Brian Ortega versus Renato Moicano. Aljamain Sterling versus Renan Barão. Ricardo Lamas versus Jason Knight. Jimi Manuwa versus Volkan Oezdemir. Robbie Lawler versus Donald Cerrone. Cyborg Justino versus Tonya Evinger. Tyron Woodley versus Demian Maia, and DC versus Jon Jones. I mean, it's an amazing fucking card from top to bottom. Even on the Fight Pass prelims is Josh Burkman. I'm not gonna talk about that fight because I'm not really, there's not really much to say there. I think Josh Burkman's gonna win, so I'll just go ahead and get out there. But it's just such an amazing card. So much to look forward to. Like I said, there'll be two separate videos. This one is going to be about the main card. Let's jump right into it. I'll be doing the prelims a bit later on because it's less important, but it is important. I definitely want to get this one out there as soon as possible, and then that one will follow up later on. So let's go ahead and jump right into it with Jimi Manuwa versus Volkan Oezdemir. Now, a lot of people might not be familiar with Oezdemir, but this guy is a bad motherfucker. He is a beast. From Switzerland, but make no mistake about it, he seems like a Russian because he is a fucking Terminator. And Jimi Manuwa is one of those guys that's been in the UFC for quite a while now. I think the first time I saw him fight an elite guy was Alexander Gustafsson in London when he got knocked out by Gustafsson, but he is improved big time since that fight. That was, 3-4 years ago now? He is a completely different fighter. It's just, obviously, he still has that knockout power, but his game has just improved so much more all the way around. So it's going to be a very, very interesting fight, this one. It's a great way to open up the main card. Unfortunately for Volkan, I think that right now Jimi Manuwa is he's just too good right now. I think Jimi Manuwa, apart from Jon Jones, DC, and Anthony Rumble Johnson, because Rumble Johnson did knock him out, I think that Jimi Manuwa is unstoppable with his weight class. I think he would destroy Glover Teixeira. I don't think they've already fought, but maybe they did. I think Jimi Manuwa, regardless, would beat him. The question is, will he beat Alexander Gustafsson if they go against each other again? Gustafsson looked amazing against Glover. It'll be one hell of a fight once they do fight, because eventually they will get that rematch. But right now, I just think that Jimi Manuwa is going to be too fucking good in this one. And he is put on this card for a reason. I mean, Dana White's even come out and said it himself. It's not a coincidence that he's on this card with Jon Jones and DC. If anything happens and the main event falls out for some reason, which I'm going to talk about that later on, I think there's a little bit of a risk there. I do think that there's no doubt that Jimi Manuwa will be sliding in that spot. If Jon Jones pulls out, which I think would be more likely than DC, then I think that DC would take the fight against Jimi Manuwa. I don't think Jon Jones would take it. He's already confirmed that even if they offered it to him, he would refuse because he doesn't take short-term fights except for against OSP, and he wouldn't accept that fight. So that is a thing. But I think that Jimi Manuwa is going to go out there. He's going to get this win. I do think it's going to be a first-round knockout just because I think, man, Volkan, he has so much to do. He has so much to improve on. Like, he has so much potential, But I think that right now, Jimi Manuwa, he's just lights out, and I think he's going to really put on a great performance. And he could steal the show. Next up, and this is probably my personal favorite fight except for the main event. Like, this one has the potential to be the fucking fight of the night. And it's going to be Donald Cerrone versus Robbie Lawler. I mean, when you look at these guys are fan favorites. It doesn't get much better than Robbie Lawler. The big question is, and I do think that he is the favorite coming in here, the thing I question is Robbie Lawler, after those wars with Tyron Woodley, getting knocked out by Tyron Woodley, after those wars with Johnny Hendricks, with Rory McDonald, and especially against Carlos Condit, what type of effects is that having on his brain? Especially because, back in the day, he had that great fight with Nick Diaz back in, 2004 or something like that. He got knocked out then. He's taken a lot of beatings, and overall, even a lot of fights that he's won, he has really taken a lot of damage. And I just question whether that has left him compromised. We saw against Tyron Woodley, that was a shot that he possibly would have taken in a couple fights previous in his career. I mean, that is a problem. A lot of times when these guys lose their chin, it just goes just like that. I mean, look at Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell, he could take a truck to the face and he wouldn't get knocked out. Now, or at least at the end of his career, he couldn't even take a fight. He was like Brendan Schaub. He couldn't even take a gust of wind. A penny would take him out. So you have to take that in mind. Is Robbie Lawler still the same Robbie Lawler we used to see? If he is, I think he's going to beat Donald Cerrone and probably finish him in the third round. If not, I think Cerrone has what it takes to go out there because we've seen, yes, he lost against against Masvidal, but Jorge Masvidal is a beast. Jorge is a beast, especially in Denver where Donald Cerrone had all that pressure. And we all know about Donald Cerrone is that he collapses when there's pressure. We've seen him in, two title fights now? I think both, yeah, we saw him against Dos Anjos. He absolutely collapsed. And I think it was both times against Dos Anjos, and I think about it, that he got his title shots. He got absolutely roasted. And, I mean, it was just brutal. And even against, when he fought Nate Diaz that one time, that was a high-pressure fight, he lost. He tends to lose the big fights. And Robbie Lawler, make no mistake about it, is a big fucking fight. Because winner pretty much gets a title fight at that weight class. I mean, except for GSP, who is almost guaranteed a title. But the real number one contender is the winner of this fight. Even if Donald Cerrone is ranked like number 12 or something like that, maybe higher, maybe like 8th or something like that, depends on what Masvidal's rating at. But I think that Donald Cerrone, even with a win against Robbie Lawler, would be the number one contender. This is going to be one hell of a fight. Like I said, if Lawler is what he used to be, he's going to win this fight. I do think he gets the TKO third round, so that's going to be my pick. But that could really fuck me over. That really could fuck me over. I wouldn't put money on it. Like, I wouldn't put a lot of money. Let's put it that way. I would put some money on it. I'm not a betting man personally, but I would put some money on it if I was. I mean, it is a bit of a risky one. I mean, you cannot deny that Donald Cerrone can really go out there and he can beat just about anybody on his day. The question is he going to show up? I have my doubts because we've seen Donald Cerrone at times in his career just collapse. Like I've said a few times already in this video, we've seen him a few times over the years. He just collapses, and I think that's going to happen right here, especially because Robbie Lawler has so much power, and if he connects to Donald Cerrone's liver, even with just a punch, especially with one of those kicks that he throws, because his front leg kick, no, he's a southpaw, so his fucking left kicks are fucking phenomenal. We've seen him knock dudes out with headshots. We've seen him knock out with body shots. He's just a beast. So I think Donald Cerrone is going to be in deep shit. I think he's going to lose this fight. It's going to be a fun one, though. It could be fight of the night, without a doubt. Now we're going to talk about Cyborg Justino finally getting her UFC title shot against Tonya Evinger, and I personally have never seen Tonya Evinger fight. I know she's undefeated for like 10 years. Cyborg is also undefeated since she lost her very first fight, but that was years ago. And I do think this is probably going to be a pretty interesting one because we've never seen somebody with that kind of pedigree taking on Cyborg in MMA. You know, we saw Cyborg lose a fight in kickboxing, but that was one against an elite kickboxer. What the fuck can Tonya Evinger do, who has, at least based on what we've seen, or at least based on what her record shows and what her game is, she could potentially take Cyborg down and do some damage there. But is that going to happen? It's hard for me to say because, like I said, I've never seen her fight. I know she's an Invicta champion. But not having seen her fight, especially, no fucking woman out there is comparable to Cyborg. So is it really possible to predict what Tonya Evinger is going to be able to do against Cyborg? I don't really think it is because Cyborg doesn't exactly have bad takedown defense either. So what are you going to do? Put her against the cage? She's dangerous as hell from close range. So what are you going to do? Clinch with her? I mean, she's super strong. She's fucking strong as fuck. So I think that regardless of what you do with Cyborg, I think Cyborg wins. I think Cyborg's going to get this knockout. I don't think it's going to be the first round, which it probably will be. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to go with the first round knockout. I was going to go with the second round knockout. I have my notes right here. But personally, I think that, it's a fucking Cyborg fight. So it doesn't go past the first round, right? If Tonya Evinger does take it to the second round, that might be a win on its own. But Cyborg is going to get that finish. I think it will be a first round. So I did, on the go, just change my pick. So that could come back to bite me in the ass. So I guess we'll find out, huh? That is a fight that we put money on, by the way. Now it's time for the co-main event. And honestly, this is going to be one hell of a fight. It's not the best welterweight matchup possible, but it's a very interesting one because a lot of people are saying, Demian Maia, with his jiu-jitsu, obviously everybody knows he's so fucking amazing. And I personally have been guilty of doubting this man for like the past 6 or 7 fights. He's on a 7-fight win streak. I've doubted him pretty much every single time. And in this fight, I'm going to do the same exact thing. People are going to call me crazy, and I probably am crazy. He might actually prove that I am fucking crazy. But I don't see how he possibly wins this fight. Obviously, all he has to do is get on his back and submit him. But if you think about it, like, what's Tyron Woodley's game? Heavy hands and fucking defending takedowns. He's the highest welterweight defensive takedown defense rating in UFC history. In UFC history. That's Strikeforce, Pride, UFC, all the brands that they bought. He has the highest welterweight takedown defense rating of all time. And in his own right, he is a monster wrestler. He's one of the best collegiate wrestlers of his generation. I mean, do you really think that Maia's going to have an easy time taking him down? And Tyron Woodley said it himself, okay? We're not talking about a guy who goes with wrestling takedowns. We're talking about a guy who goes with jiu-jitsu takedowns. So a lot of it's like grabbing the opponent and pulling him on top of him. That's something to take in mind, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tyron Woodley showed against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson that when it comes to fighting against elite fighters, when it comes to the cerebral game, he is very, very, very well done. He is tremendous at that. He didn't take any risk against Stephen Thompson, and that's why he walked out both fights pretty much unscathed without actually losing his title or even risking losing his title. I think the first one, I would have given the first one to Wonderboy. But of course there was that big round where Tyron Woodley did a whole lot of damage. So I could definitely see giving the draw. I personally think the draw probably was the best result. But I could see it more going towards Stephen Wonderboy Thompson than going towards Woodley. But the second fight, I can also see why they gave it to Woodley because Wonderboy didn't really do a whole lot. I personally think that Woodley didn't do as much because I think that Woodley was just walking backwards a lot and there was a lot of side kicks from Wonderboy. I would have scored that towards Wonderboy, but at the end of the day, I can definitely see why they gave it to Woodley. I don't think there was a robbery in any single way. That was a garbage fight, and I wouldn't expect anything less than that here. Like, I would expect Woodley, because of the fact that he's taking on Maia, who on the feet is like, he's nowhere near the same level as Tyron Woodley, so I expect on the feet it's going to be a beatdown, but on the ground, obviously there's always that chance, if it does go to the ground, which I personally don't think it is. It might go there once, but Woodley's wrestling is just going to be too good. I think he's going to neutralize Demian Maia, and I think he's just going to knock him out. I honestly think it's going to be a round 2 knockout. Damian Maia, his striking, like I said, is just nowhere near Woodley's, especially because of the fact that he doesn't have a lot of power. Like, if he was a very rudimentary striker with a lot of power, then sure, there was always that risk factor. But Woodley, he kills people with his punches. I see Damian Maia taking a few shots early on, like he always does, not being able to get him, getting kind of desperate, getting rock played on in the first round. Second round starts, he stays desperate, and I see Woodley knocking him out, getting him out of there pretty quick in the second round. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I definitely think there's a lot better matchups in the welterweight division, but Damian Maia earned his title shot. It's not one I'm personally extremely excited for, but it's definitely going to be one to watch. Like, when it comes to welterweight, I would love to see him fight Condit again. I would love to see him fight Lawler again, even Cerrone. And even fucking Masvidal. All fights I want to see more than this. But even this one has its own place. People, if you love jiu-jitsu, this is going to be a fight that you need to check into because if you want to support your jiu-jitsu community, this is one of the last 2 or 3 guys that are real jiu-jitsu only fighters. Like even you see Jacare Souza. He is a jiu-jitsu fighter who also has a lot of dangerous striking. Fabricio Verdum, amazing jiu-jitsu fighter, but also has some pretty good kickboxing. Damian Maia is the only guy left at the elite level that is only jiu-jitsu. So if you are an only jiu-jitsu guy, this is your chance to root for a guy before the last of the Mohicans is completely killed. Because I think he's about to get scalped. I think he's going to get destroyed. Let me know what you think. Now time for the main event. And this one is going to be fucking good. Now, if this happens, because I'm recording this at 6:54 p.m. Italy time. So that is, at 4:55 p.m. Italy time, which is about, I would say it's 6 hours ahead of the East, so 5 o'clock we'll say. It is about 12 o'clock. No, it is 11 o'clock in the U.S. right now. So, in the Eastern time. There's still plenty of time for Jon Jones to miss weight. I haven't checked if that's already happened. I don't think it has. I think it's around 12. So there's still a chance for Jon Jones to miss weight. In DC, of course. But one thing that really worries me about this is Jon Jones was eating ice cream yesterday, and I get it. And also pancakes according to Embedded, but I do have a feeling that he probably ate like a couple pieces of the pancakes and then gave it to his teammate or whatever. But I'm extremely worried about it. I mean, yes, the weight he said is coming off amazingly. He weighed like 211 yesterday. But why risk it? You know, why risk it when everything has already gone so poorly for you over the past few years? And I'm actually terrified about that. This fight is easily the MMA fight I've been waiting for the longest. You know, I want this rematch so bad. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm a Jon Jones fan, so I want Jon Jones to come back on my birthday and beat up DC. And I personally don't have any beef with DC. I send him messages all the time on Xbox Live. He doesn't answer for some reason. I mean, I don't know. Send him a tweet telling him that he needs to answer me on Xbox Live so we can play together. I even had a YouTube video where I was in his NBA 2K court. He still didn't fucking talk to me. So I don't know what DC's avoided me for, but you know, I have no beef with him. Maybe he has beef with me because I'm a Jon Jones guy. I do not know. He probably doesn't even know who I am. But I'm sending him messages. He needs to fucking respond. So Jon Jones, I think, is going to get this win. I think Jon Jones is going to finish him in the 4th round. Now, that's kind of controversial because I don't think Jon Jones has finished a fighter in probably his last 5 or 6 fights. Let's see. He beat Chael by TKO. Then I think he decisioned Glover. No, after that he decisioned Alexander Gustafsson. Then he decisioned Glover. Then DC. Then OSP. I may be missing one. But I don't think I am. Yeah, I think that's it. So four decisions in a row. So, is he going to finish them? I think he will. Considering how fucking beefed up Jon Jones is and how mentally strong he looks right now, because realistically, we haven't seen Jon Jones look like this. And if you've seen his interviews, he is constantly just saying what he wants to say. Back in the day, Jon Jones was always trying to play that character. He was trying to play the Jesus card. Nowadays, it looks like he doesn't give a shit. He's just, Luke Thomas, I don't like you very much. I'm not going to answer your questions. Fuck you to DC. Fuck Dana. I like that. I like that about him. That fuck you attitude, I think, will give him an advantage, an even bigger advantage than he already has based on his talent in the octagon, because he's going to have disdain for all of his opponents, and that's just going to be it. He's going to fucking destroy him. I think DC, of all the fighters in this weight class, apart from maybe Alexander Gustafsson, is the only one that can really compete with Jon Jones. Obviously, Jimi Manuwa, who is, like I said earlier, is fighting on the card. He has that one-punch knockout power that can finish anybody, so that's always a risk. But if you look at like elite-level fighters, like when it comes to skill, not like just one-punch knockout, I'm talking about, DC and Alexander Gustafsson are the two guys that can beat him, and DC might be the only one that really could beat him. Even though I think Alexander Gustafsson would probably beat DC if they had a rematch. I don't think it's going to happen. I say Jon Jones stays undefeated because, yes, he has that loss to Mark Hamill. No, Matt Hamill. Matt Hamill. Mark Hamill's fucking Luke Skywalker. But that doesn't really count. You can't count that as a loss because there was a bogus rule that got him disqualified. Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time. Jon Jones is back. He's going to dismantle DC. If he doesn't finish him, it's going to be a bloodbath. So DC might have it in his best interest to get finished. Because if not, he's going to get fucking destroyed. Those elbows, and Jon Jones is looking dangerous as hell. He's even talking about he's got new elbow techniques. I mean, the guy was already a fucking monstrous elbower. He destroyed people's faces. He would scar just about everybody with his elbows. And now he has even more techniques. He's even more dangerous. I mean, what more could the guy do? And he's been off for like 2 years, basically. He's been working on a lot of stuff. And honestly, that OSP fight, people talk about how that was a shit fight and stuff like that. I personally don't agree. I do not agree with that at all. Jon Jones did the minimum effort, and he went out there and he smoked OSP. He broke his arms with a kick. Jon Jones has some strong ass kicks. If he broke a dude's arm with a kick, that was something that back then, 2 years ago, when he was fighting against DC, even that wasn't even possible because of the fact that he was so skinny, he was so weak. He was really just a pillow fist guy. Nowadays, he's fucking dangerous with that power too. So I think it's going to be a dangerous one. I think DC is going to be in for a rude awakening of what Jon Jones is all about. Because we know DC got worked in that first fight, but I think DC won one round. Jon Jones dominated him, but it wasn't really like a beatdown. It wasn't like a brutal beatdown. I think there's going to be one. I do think there's going to be a beatdown. I think DC, after losing this one, he's going to either have to move up or retire. I think that he probably could, at heavyweight, even do some damage. We saw what he did over his career, especially because now the weight cut, it's too tough on him, I think. He missed weight against Rumble Johnson, the second fight. I mean, let's just be real. He missed weight. He cheated. And obviously, I'm happy he did cheat. At the end of the day, it didn't bother anybody. Rumble didn't care. So, no harm there. But it does show that the weight cut is getting tough. We'll see what happens to him today. This will probably come out after the weigh-ins. At least the morning weigh-ins. So, there's that. I don't know exactly what's going on. But I do think that DC, the weight cut's getting harder for him. He's like 39. Maybe going up to heavyweight is going to be his only option because Jon Jones, he's simply not going to be able to beat Jon Jones. If he does somehow to beat Jon Jones, he's going to have to beat him again. That's not going to happen. Lightning doesn't strike twice in the same spot. So I think Jon Jones is going to work him. It's going to be a fun fight, though. You guys definitely need to check that out. I'm for the fucking fact I'm going to be checking that out. Let's see if Jon Jones does give me a good birthday present. We'll be finding out. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out my prelim video, which will be coming out probably shortly after this one. It depends. My upload times, because I have shitty internet here, is about 3 to 4 hours for like a 15-minute video. So I don't know exactly when it's going to be coming out, but between editing and stuff like that, it should be out at latest Saturday morning US time. Probably even before that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I have a gaming channel as well. I'll link that in the description down below. I've been doing a lot of NBA Playground stuff. I've been doing a lot of FIFA stuff. Injustice stuff, and I do plan on doing some EA UFC 2 stuff. I have some fucking hilarious characters created. I can't wait for you guys to check that out as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and share it anywhere this could be interesting. Any forums, MMA fighting, whatever you want to share it on, please share it. I'm very grateful for you guys, and thank you so much for the guys who continue to watch me. I'm back, baby. Fucking back. MMA is back in the full string. Premier League is about to start again. Fucking FFSN is back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you in the next video.